Welcome to this explainer. Go ahead and close your eyes for just a second. I want you to imagine the mist rolling right off the Grand Canal, well before the sun even peeks over those terracotta rooftops. Today, we aren't looking at the typical, overcrowded tourist version of Venice. Instead, we're diving straight into a cinematic journey through the historic, commercial heart of the city, the San Polo District. We're going to explore the authentic atmosphere, those incredible artisanal details, and the vibrant pulse of daily commerce that is still thriving here today. So let's step into the real Venice. Right off the bat, let's reframe exactly how we should be looking at this area. When you're standing on the misty, dawnlit steps of the Rialto Bridge, you really have to remember this. The Rialto is not a museum piece. It's the engine of one of the most powerful commercial states in medieval Europe. And what's so incredible about that is you aren't just walking on old stones. You're literally feeling the thousand-year-old pulse of daily commerce beneath your feet. I mean, long before modern finance was even a concept, this spot right here was the absolute commercial center of the Mediterranean world. Let's trace how this muddy riverbank transformed into an absolute financial powerhouse. Back in 1097, the Central Market was officially established. The area got so busy that by 1181, they had to build the first wooden pontoon bridge just to handle the traffic. But the real turning point? That was a devastating fire in 1514. It completely wiped out the area, but it triggered a massive rebuilding phase that essentially shaped the Rialto layout we still use today. And then finally, in 1591, Antonio da Ponte completes his iconic stone bridge. He designed this massive single arch that critics confidently predicted was going to collapse. Spoiler alert, it totally didn't. It stood the test of time perfectly. Now, to really get how this commercial engine works, we have to look at the physical space itself. From up above, you get this stunning aerial view of the dense, ancient morphology of Campo San Polo at dawn. This whole district was actually built over ancient salt pans and an area they used to call lubrio. As the Venetians reclaimed that land in the 10th century, they created this incredibly dense, labyrinth-like network of streets and canals. And the architecture actually works a lot like a funnel. It naturally draws the city's energy, its people, and its goods right into the Grand Market. It is very much a living organism, and that market is its beating heart. And speaking of that beating heart, let's talk about the number 1,000. Because for over 1,000 years, seriously, let that sink in for a second, this exact site has been trading fresh goods. The pace of life here really hasn't slowed down since the 11th century. Every single morning, 6 days a week, boats pull up in the pitch dark, vendors start shouting out their prices, and local chefs arrive to haggle. It's this nonstop high-energy spectacle of authentic Venetian life that literally predates the Renaissance, and you can still witness it today. Welcome to the Pescaria, the legendary fish market situated right on the Grand Canal. It is an absolute sensory explosion. The intense, salty smell of the Adriatic Sea just hits you the second you walk up. Look at what they're pulling fresh off the boats. You've got the iridescent scales of bronzino or sea bass. You've got jet black sepia, that's the cuttlefish whose ink practically defines Venetian cooking. There's vibrant red mullet, known locally as trillier. And the absolute ultimate prize, moche. These are seasonal soft-shell crabs from the lagoon, and they're only available for a few weeks in spring and autumn. You can practically hear the ice crunching and the vendors yelling as locals fiercely negotiate over these seasonal delicacies. Right next door to all that seafood action is the Airberia, the open-air fruit and vegetable market. But this isn't just a basic grocery stand. It is literally a living calendar for the entire Veneto region. The produce hitting these stalls completely dictates what's on local restaurant menus that day. If it's spring, you're going to see these massive, beautiful piles of purple artichokes harvested straight from the island of Sant'Erasmo. In the dead of winter, the tables are painted this deep, gorgeous red with bittersweet radicchio brought in from Treviso. The rhythm of the seasons is written right here on these market tables. Okay, let's step away from the beautiful chaos of the morning market and slip into the labyrinth. Looking at how dense the alleyways of San Polo actually are, you can see how tightly packed these structures were built. Historically, this specific area had the absolute highest density of workshops and warehouses in all of Venice. It was this incredibly compact fabric of pure, unfiltered industry. Today, as we wander away from the Grand Canal and slip into these quieter, shadowed streets, we're literally tracing the exact footsteps of medieval merchants who were hunting for specialized artisan goods. And tucked away in those narrow streets, well, that's where you find the real guardians of Venetian culture. Let's slow our stroll down for a second and compare what you'll find here. On one side, you have authentic Venetian masks. We're talking handcrafted out of papier-mâché, historically accurate to the 18th century commedia dell'arte. On the other side, mass-produced plastic tourist kitsch. If you want to see the real deal, you step into a workshop like La Bottega dei Maschereri. In spots like this, staunch traditionalists like the Bouldrin brothers are keeping the true artistic spirit of Carnevale alive, sculpting masks inspired by Tiepolo paintings right in front of your eyes. Deep in these winding streets hides another absolutely vital craft. Take Franco Furlanetto, for example. He is one of only 4 artisans left in the entire city who still carves the forcola. That's the highly specialized, beautifully shaped oarlock used for Venetian rowing. Generations of gondoliers depend entirely on these perfectly sculpted blocks of solid walnut just to navigate the tight canals. It's the centuries-old craft where the exact curve of the wood dictates how the boat moves through the water. It's a gorgeous intersection of pure art and daily survival in a city built entirely on water. All right, as the late afternoon sun starts casting those long shadows over the Campos, it is time to shift gears. It's time for cicchetti. Pronounced cicchetti, these are small, seasonal, bite-sized portions of Venetian food, and they're served at traditional local wine bars called baccari. You can think of it as the quintessential Venetian culinary tradition, this amazing, highly social snacking culture that completely predates the modern concept of tapas. It's honestly the perfect way to open your appetite and soak up the relaxed neighborhood vibe after a long day of work, or, exploring. And if you want to experience this tradition the right way, you really need to know the year 1462. Why? Because that is the year the legendary Cantina do Mori first opened its doors, making it the oldest continually operating Baccaro in Venice. When you step inside, it's cramped, it's warm, and the ceiling is completely covered in these hanging antique copper pots. For over 500 years, generations of Rialto Market workers, wealthy merchants, and everyday locals have ducked into this exact shadowy room just for a quick glass of wine and a bite to eat. So what exactly do you order when you elbow your way up to that crowded counter? Let me guide you through some absolute must-haves. First up, bacala mantecato. It's this incredibly divine whipped salt cod cream served on polenta, and it pairs perfectly with a dry, mineral Soave white wine. Then you absolutely have to try the sardine four. We're talking sardines marinated with sweet onions, vinegar, and pine nuts, which cuts beautifully through a delicate glass of sparkling Prosecco. And for the adventurous, fulpetti. It's tender, boiled baby octopus dressed incredibly simply with just lemon and olive oil, and it stands up perfectly to a rich, powerful red amarone. It's literally the daily catch from the morning market, perfectly transformed. There are actually unwritten rules to a proper Venetian bar crawl, or as the locals call it, the giro d'ombra, which literally translates to the wine stroll. Here's how you do it. Step 1. Order un'ombra, a small, inexpensive glass of house wine, or maybe grab a ruby red select spritz. Step 2. Point out 2 or 3 fresh cicchetti from behind the glass counter. And step 3, this is absolutely crucial, do not sit down. You stand, you eat, you balance your little plate and your glass in your hands, and you chat with the locals standing shoulder to shoulder with you. It's lively, it's quick, and it is hands down the most authentic way to dine in San Polo. Let's pan back out for a second and look at the district as a whole. You can truly appreciate the enduring historic structures of San Polo. The crazy thing is, the physical stone hasn't actually changed much since the days when this was a medieval financial powerhouse. But the real beauty of San Polo is that it didn't just freeze in time to become a museum. It adapted. It seamlessly transitioned. Sure, the massive merchant banks might be gone, but the artisan workshops, the bustling morning fish market, and the lively baccari prove that this place is still very much a vibrant, living cultural landmark. As we start to wrap up this documentary journey, looking out from the Rialto Bridge while the sunset perfectly reflects off the Grand Canal, we're really reminded of what this place represents. It truly is the surviving heartbeat of a commercial tradition that transformed European history. The city lights are just starting to twinkle on the water, the market vendors have finally washed away the salt and the ice, and those little baccari are filling up with chatter and laughter. The engine is resting, but just for a few hours, because those boats will be arriving again tomorrow in the dark. Which brings us to a final thought for this explainer. When you finally get to stand on the Rialto Bridge at dusk, with the grand sweep of the canal right beneath you, what are you going to see? Are you going to see a simple, crowded tourist destination, or will you feel the pulse of a 1,000-year-old empire beneath your feet? I really hope this visual journey has given you the tools to see the real, authentic Venice. Keep learning, keep exploring, and definitely keep searching for that incredible history that is hiding right in plain sight.